Thinking about getting away, wanting to do a little travel. Well, joining me right now is Erik, the travel guy Hastings, my good friend. He has a website, ericthetravelguy.com. That's Erik with a K. Don't misspell it. He also is the host of the series Beyond Your Backyard, which used to be on PBS, and you could find it on YouTube now. Wonderful videos. By the way, you should do that for a living. It's You're really good at it. And he
Oh, thank
also runs a wonderful dinner theater for murder mystery fans down in Orlando, Florida right now. Erik, the travel guy Hastings, thanks for being on this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Always excellent to be here.
Well, it is great to have you. We should talk about travel deals and when to travel. And specifically, we want to mention Jamaica today. So let's first talk about the best way to travel, the best way to make your plans. Because a lot of people, they talk with their friends and they say, gee, such and such just went to Jamaica. Maybe we'll just get the best plan we could find online. But maybe you should do a little research first. So talk about if you were to make plans, say, to go to Jamaica.
If you're going to make plans to go to Jamaica, one of the first things I say, I think that's a great suggestion, by the way. I really do. Jamaica and I, we are friends. I love the sandals people. I love the beaches people. I love all those resorts down there. I love the locals. The locals care and understand how important tourism is to the economy. And so Jamaica is a great suggestion. But the number one question I would always ask is, where do you want to go? What do you want to feel on your next vacation? Because the reality of it is we're not all the same, of course. A lot of people love to bring a book or two, bring a couple of magazines, what are those, and bring their sunglasses and sit on a beach for a week. Now, that to me sounds like torture. I would die within like a day. I would be bored out of my mind. But that's same place, right? Same Jamaica, different way to experience it. So I think that's a real conversation I'd like you to have with your whomever you're traveling with. Say, what do we want to do here? Do we want to explore? Do we want to do ATVing? Do we want to do? Is it really just sun and surf? And so, if Jamaica ticks those boxes, great. But maybe Curacao does, or maybe Dominica does, or maybe Puerto Rico does. You never know if you're talking Caribbean in that region. But Jamaica is always a good suggestion. I call it one of the starter Caribbean places to go because the tourism infrastructure is alive and well in Jamaica.
Yeah, and there's like you said, there's so much to do. Just like you mentioned Curacao. I mean, I've been to Aruba, and Aruba's great if you just want beach, but there's really not that much more to do. And on the 1 or 2 days a year that there's rain, you're really in the hotel. There's nothing. That's it. There's like, what is it, 30 hotels on the island. It's a little island. You have the DV trees and some nice little restaurants. If you go to Aruba on a regular basis, you've eaten at all the restaurants at some point. I mean, they
It's
do
very
exhaust
true.
themselves. But Jamaica is
It's
the
true.
second most populous island in the Caribbean outside of Cuba. And there's
Yeah.
tons to do. It has a big infrastructure. If you go to Kingston, I mean, there's a lot of crime in Kingston, but there's a lot of great spots too. If you wanted to do the big city thing, there are places to go, and it's kind of cool to enjoy the culture.
Yeah, it really is. And again, if you look, the State Department is always going to be issuing warnings, travel warnings to pay attention. But again, I would remind you, you should always be paying attention when you're traveling, especially when you're traveling outside of your home country. Remember, we've talked about this before. The laws of the place that you are, those are the governing laws. And so, you do need to pay attention to things. What are the local cultures, and do your best to respect the local cultures, same thing with the language. I mean, look, Jamaica, there's plenty of English spoken down there, but the reality of it is there's lots of places where English is a second language. And if you can learn a few phrases, but yes, you have got a lot of options in Jamaica. And one of the things, Montego Bay is one of the best places, has the best air service, or some of the best air service in the Caribbean from major gateways, certainly here in the Northeast. So you're going to have no problem getting there. And I think that's something that's also very important to consider.
Yeah, and Montego Bay's nickname is Mo Bay. That's the place where I vacationed. Mo Bay is a great location because, first off, from a beach perspective, you have the old what used to be known as the Ritz-Carlton Rose Hall, right? I don't know what it's called today, but it's
Mhm.
just one of the most regal properties. And remember, for those who don't know, the Jamaica was part of Great Britain, so there's still the high-end British high tea. You can go to hotels and still have high tea, and they dress impeccably. And it's just a beautiful place. And the people are so cool. When I got to Mobay and I got out of the airport, I was greeted by a taxi driver with a sign who stopped me for politely. He stopped me and he said, "Sir, you are the person whom the government of Jamaica has officially assigned to me to you. So I am officially your taxi driver. Nice to meet you," and handed us his card. And I thought that was such a, I mean, I'm sure he does it with everyone, but it was such a
Of
clever
course.
way to approach it. And he said, "So
Yeah.
I am at your beck and call while you are here in Jamaica." And I looked at my husband. I said, "What the hell?" And we got in his cab. He could have been an axe murderer for all I know. He was the nicest guy. He said, "What kind of Jamaica do you want to experience?" And I said,
Uh,
"First of all, I'm a foodie. I want to eat where you eat." And he stopped the cab and he looked, he turned around, he said, "Are you sure?" And I said,
sure about
"I
that.
want to go where you go. I want to go to chow down where you chow down." He picked us up. He says, "All right, go and enjoy the beach today. Get ready at the hotel. I'll come by and get you at about 6 o'clock and I'll take you to my friend's restaurant." Now, talk about down a dirt road, make a left turn. I thought we were being kidnapped. I figured we're not coming
Yeah,
back. He
yeah,
took us to
that's
this
right.
hole in the wall, and I paid for dinner for the three of us. It was him, Chris, and me, my husband. I paid for dinner. We had like 5 courses. I think it was $20 for the three of us. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah,
was spicy as hell. I will say this because I asked for it, but it was
yeah.
the best food I ever had. It was real, authentic Jamaican down home, and the people treated us like just gold. And he introduced us to everyone. Everybody was a cousin of his. Everybody was a cousin of his. We had the best time. And then he got us home and he says, don't do the beach tomorrow. It's supposed to rain early in the morning. I'll pick you up and I'll take you to the museum." And that, so he had our whole itinerary mapped out. We had the best vacation.
Yeah,
Sometimes you just have
that's
to let go.
yeah, sometimes you do. Obviously, you need to be safe. Of course, you need to be vigilant. You need to pay attention to your surroundings. You need to not be wearing expensive, flashy jewelry, which I know you don't when you travel, Ken. But I
Right.
mean, the fact of the matter is, if you ask some very basic questions of the locals, they'll tell you, oh, and they don't want anything to happen to you. They're not going to send you to a place that's not safe. Listen, there's unsafe neighborhoods in every town in the world. Just don't
Mm-hmm.
go to them. There, it's as simple as that. They don't usually bother you. You don't need to bother them. We're good. Let it go. Let there be separation. I think one of the things that I learned on my last trip, we've done 2 episodes there. We just did one in the day in the life of a all-inclusive resort general manager. It was so interesting in Montego Bay at the original Sandals property, because when you talk Jamaica, you can't. I mean, you got Club Med, but Butch was legendary down there. I mean, the original, the first swim up pool bar in the world
Mm-hmm.
was at that property at Sandals. I mean, stuff like that. They were the first all inclusive to put hair dryers in the room. It was a big deal back in the 1980s, etc. But doing that episode and learning about why the locals are employed and how long they stay at these resorts for 25, 30, 35 years is really remarkable.
Yeah, it's so cool. And by the way, an ounce of kindness goes a long way. Showing somebody respect. If you're lost down a street and you just say, "Excuse me, can you help me to get blah blah blah?" They'll take you there. I mean, but don't be, too many Americans are very condescending and assume that the whole world owes them something. Don't do that. Just be that nice to somebody. You'll get 10 times the niceness back. It's just a wonderful culture with wonderful people, and they know, like specifically in Montego Bay, their culture is based on tourism, so they're gonna roll out the red carpet for you and make you feel very welcome.
Well, and
It's a
what
fun
a
place.
great vacation too, Ken. I mean, look, if you fly into Montego Bay, which I always forget which part of the island it's on, it's not that important
Right.
for our discussion, but it's on I think it's the north. Anyway, you fly
Yes.
into Montego Bay, you go all the way to Negril, and you'll see a different Jamaica in Negril. And people who right now are listening to this who are Negril people, they're like, oh yeah, Negril's not like Mobay. It's not like Falmouth. It's not like so. People who love to go over there and they go to gyms and they see the people jumping off the cliffs and it's just so and the sunset's amazing, etc. Again, these are the type because here's the thing. Here's the secret about travel, right? The whole reason I do this whole gig and have for the better part of 3 decades is because you just don't know which one of those vacations is going to change your life forever for the better.
Hmm.
Not to say it was bad going in, but you just don't know. So you got to go out there and try it. And lo and behold, you'll find something that speaks to you and it'll change your life.
Yeah, and Jamaica, by the way, you can go from the inexpensive to the expensive, but don't expect you're going to get high-end luxury if that's what you're looking for at one of the cheaper motels. They have, just like here, they have more services at the expensive places, fewer services at the little places. But if you're looking for just a beach and a pina colada, you can go at a low end, and that's okay. If you want a little bit more than that, you're going to impress a girlfriend or boyfriend. Spend and go for something more. But you have everything on an island like Jamaica. It's a great place. Erik, the travel guy, Hastings. That's ericthetravelguy.com. Erik with a K, and his YouTube videos, of course, which are beyond your backyard. You could still see them. They were on PBS years ago, and now, of course, they're on YouTube. You could see them. They're great. Check it out, Erik. You did such a good job on those videos. I love checking them out. It makes me feel like I'm on vacay when I see them. Erik, the travel guy, Hastings. Thanks as always for being with us today.
Thank you, sir.